Hello, everybody. This is the Crypto Currently podcast. Today I'm joined by Ravi and our good friend Kyle Solomon from Adosia. Kyle, thanks for being here. How are you today?
Good, good. How are you?
I am very well. Ravi, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Oh, another beautiful day in California.
That's what I hear. All right, so I just want to touch really briefly on two quick news articles I came across, and then we'll segue immediately into the topic of the day. So the two things that piqued my interest today, we've got the Israeli Supreme Court made a decision that is allowing crypto trading nationwide, and it's requiring banks to not limit the accounts. So basically, what they did is they took a hard stance on online gambling, and a byproduct of that was they have to allow people to transact cryptocurrency in and out of bank accounts without any problem, no muss, no fuss, which is a huge step forward in my opinion. And moving in the opposite direction, the United States government has seized just over $1 billion in cryptocurrency to date. And these are two huge news articles making a lot of headline, which really brings me to the point of the day and why we brought Kyle on, and he was gracious enough to take time out of his day to be here. But cryptocurrency is huge in the news, but blockchain tech is also really, really big, and I feel like it doesn't get enough media attention, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. Kyle's the owner and operator and CEO of Adosia, and a lot of what you do is build blockchain-based tech. And we did a good interview last week, and we highlighted a lot of your products. I want to talk to you guys about what you think is the difference between cryptocurrency and the blockchain hardware and why it's not as popular. So, Kyle, give me a little introduction to what you do, and then we can kind of wrap from there.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, so I guess, you threw a couple questions out there. I mean, I guess I can start with, you had mentioned why, and let me know if I'm getting this right, why blockchain, can you elaborate on what you mean by it's not as popular as
So
far as
a lot of what
hardware?
I see in the popularity in the media and everything is on trading cryptocurrency specifically, and I don't really see enough, in my opinion, I
Oh,
don't see enough
yeah,
focus
yeah,
on the
yeah,
technology.
yeah. Nobody knows what's going on, right? Nobody knows what's happening. That's what's okay. All right, cool. We're on the same page. Yeah. So people see, stories of overnight millionaires. A lot of people made a lot of money on this past run, and people are starting to see stories of that, and that's all they really talk about is the trading, and they say, oh yeah, it's a bubble, and they're right, but they're so wrong. It's like it's like kind of like having kids. My cousin told me this. Somebody said, he says it's like it's all joy, but it's no fun, right? So
So, Ravi, where are you at on that then? And I know that we're usually on the same page with this sort of stuff. What do you see in the news sphere, and what are your thoughts on why the technology, which is super interesting, may not be as popular as a cryptocurrency?
I think it's just an education issue. A lot of people they have trouble using their own Facebook, so there's uh,
It's a very fair
there's
it,
just
point.
an education issue, and I'm trying to understand the underlying technology that is the blockchain. It's not easy to understand for someone who is tech savvy. So I think as the technology becomes more adopted and more education platforms open up, um, there can be a lot of good. There's going to be a lot more understanding of what this technology is, what it does, and it'll start growing. It'll be a lot better when we can get more educated about it.
I agree.
well,
So, Kyle, at Adoja, I know you guys and yourself specifically, very tech savvy. You like developing hardware. So, give me an example of something that you've worked on. I know that you have and I forget the name of it. Forgive me, but the furniture Taplock, is that it?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
tell me about that because that idea really piqued me after we talked last week. It's a super cool project. So just to give people an idea of what's capable.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, Taplock is something that our architect Stefan and I, Stefan's idea, and he had kind of wrote up software for it and had a prototype breadboarded, and we were going to a garden show to show off some of the earlier Blueponics stuff. This is a few months ago, and so I stayed up pretty late with him, and we put together we took his breadboard and we soldered together a nice little prototype, and just kind of had a really rudimentary operation. But he had built this awesome table, and the lid opened up, and it was a nice little hidden area, but it just looked like an end table or that you'd had kind of like in your walkway in your home. And the cool thing about it is it opened up based on a way you touched it. So we put capacitive sensors throughout there, and it opened. It would open based on how you touched it. So essentially, what we're doing with Taplock is we're moving into creating basically a password protected, kind of like a hobby kit to start with, and then system integrator kits where integrators can build whatever they want. All kinds of furniture all around it. Let people do what they do best, right? Let us stick to hardware. And, they can create these awesome consumer products where consumers can program via the internet how they touch it and where they touch it to get it to open up and, send them passwords or notifications, upon devices being accessed and things like that. So they can be used for all kinds of personal, valuables as well as, to protect firearms. So there's some really interesting applications with that. And let me take a couple of steps back. Last time I'd mentioned we were doing hardware that can do all these cool things that the user wants to be able to customize it to do, but what's going to make and differentiate our ecosystem from everything else is that all the hardware can interact with other hardware. And that's what's going to drive, I would say, extremely creative applications that we probably never even thought of before, because we're already starting to find stuff, internally just playing with everything.
I agree. So, Ravi, let me kick that back over to you then. Having listened to that, where's your head at on some applications of blockchain? What do you see the future being, or at least not even the far future, but just like some immediate changes, some immediate blockchain applications that might kick this up a little bit in the media?
Okay, well, yeah. So disruption, right? Disruption is coming, and that's why everybody's hyping over crypto, because nobody understands what's happening. And when it comes down, and it will, everything's going to come down, but there's going to be some bomb pillars standing. And then there's going to be some pillars that are there that are kind of wobbly, like think Netscape and, AOL and all the old dogs of the internet age that were the bomb in their days, but were the Friendsters, right? So there's going to be a lot of that shit. There's a lot of Friendsters out there. Decent ideas, but jack shit for execution. And, I have a philosophy. You can't lead a tech initiative if you're not technical. You can't do it. You can't pivot. You can't see what's going on. If you don't understand the landscape and how things can affect the landscape, you can't navigate it. You're just
I agree. No, I agree with you 100%. Ravi, let me kick that over to you then. And what are your thoughts on it? Where's your head at? I know you do a lot of tech work yourself. So what do you think?
Well, I'm really intrigued by this piece of hardware for security at my home, and I kind of want to get one now. But I absolutely agree 100% with Kyle. There's right now, look at the crypto space, how many currencies are out there, how many ICOs came out last year. And really, now that the regulatory environment is changing, there's, like Kyle said, there's going to be a lot of pillars falling, but the ones that stay standing are definitely going to be worth their weight in gold, and they're going to be the sturdy ones. Yeah, there'll still be some standing that are a little wobbly that kind of survived the compliance strike back, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of corrections here coming up in the coming months.
I think a lot of the market cap that a lot of people are saying, oh, well, it may go to these companies or this companies, and it's going to, suck up all from all the shit coins or whatever. I think that market cap, a lot of that is going to go to individual developers who learn how to write smart contracts on these platforms that are coming out. I really just, because, I'm in so much technology, you got to do the website for Adosia, you got to do the hardware side. There's just so much software and so many different disciplines that, I recently just started banging out Solidity, and, I was kind of just poking around for a couple of weeks, a while back. And then after you figure out what's going on, you just start shredding. You're like, oh, okay, I understand what you can really do with this. And for the hardware side of it, it's strategic, right? We're going to use it to mine down the road. So the Solidity that we needed to understand is how do we make a coin, right? And in doing that, I realized, oh, wow, legal industries are in trouble. You could make this would be easy. If I just said, fuck it, I don't have shit to do today, I could just go and write a smart contract that said, you know what, let's start a whole new business that just says, all right, cool, let's make a will system, and let's say Eric and Eric, you guys have, an Ethereum address for your kid set up, and your kid has access to that address, or whatever, whoever may be, whoever you care about. And you say, okay, I want to distribute this money to these individuals if I don't put money in this address for 6 months. It's just really simple things like that, and you just blew a legal attorney's income out of his nuts. And I don't know if anybody's doing that or not, but
you bring up a really interesting point, actually. Ravi, I'm gonna ask you this first, and then Kyle, I'll come back to you. But how far behind the curve do you think people are versus the technology? I know the obvious answer is very far behind, because most people don't even know what cryptocurrency is when they buy it. They don't understand what it's based on, and they don't understand practical applications for the tech. But Ravi, where do you see the swing at? Like, at what point do you think people will really start to catch up and start using these applications like that, like Kyle's talking about?
Well, I mean, exactly what Kyle alluded to here. This is just, he doesn't know if anyone has done this yet, if that sector of industry has been disrupted by this technology. So it's kind of a hard question to ask exactly how far behind things are.
Yeah.
So again, there's this education issue. Is it just because that there's not these will and trust lawyers that don't understand the technology? Is that the only problem? Because they could take a couple of seminars and get connected at a conference with some developers, and bam, their whole industry is disrupted.
Yeah. So Kyle, where do you see the curve at right now, as far as where the tech is and where people are in general?
Well, I mean, let's take a step back. We talk about crypto and we say, oh, it's gonna level the banks, right? That's what I mean by disrupt. It's gonna level, a big subset of these will attorneys. You don't need them. You're gonna have Bob Coder who says, hey, I can give you your own, will attorney. Sign up on my website, pay me, whatever in Bitcoin. So I think the top of point is the mass adoption rate. When people start using it, they're gonna be like, oh wow, this is real money. And then they're going to see all these things and all these different services that you can do with that money. And I think that's one future for smart contracts. I mean, there's so many different applications with what you can do, but everybody who just has an idea doesn't mean you make money with the idea. It may not be more efficient than the real world application, right? It's expensive to go get an attorney, right?
Yeah.
But it's not expensive to sit there and say, oh, you know what? I don't make a lot of money every month. I may make $600 a week. There's people that don't live off of very much, but they try to save, and they say, you know what, if I don't put money in this account for this amount of time, I want to make sure the people I care about are taken care of. And you can do that for as little as probably $100. I mean, you write a contract. Once you set up code works, right? So,
well, we're at a point in human history now where we're looking at, I know a big thing in the news is artificial intelligence doing contracts better than people do them, and more efficiently and faster and easier. So, Ravi, I want to kick that back over to you again, because I know you've hit on education a lot. It's not the only issue, but it is a huge issue. So are we looking at a merger of worlds where we're saying, in your opinion, blockchain tech is going to start bridging some of these problems, education, law, as Kyle pointed out, income, that might be a way, I'm not saying it is, but it might be a way to bridge the gap where we have the wealthy elite and the middle class that keeps widening. Do you think that is something that's going to help?
Blockchain technology.
Do you think it'll level the playing field for the little guy?
Say the question again.
So what Kyle's basically talking about, and a lot of the points that he's making is an ability. Blockchain is providing an ability for people without much to get more done.
Right.
And you pointed out education a lot. Do you think that's the only inhibitor?
No, I mean, obviously we see you can see the education industry also not using blockchain technology. There's very few ideas out there that actually are education oriented. So I mean, we are in infancy stage. We haven't even begun to crawl really, and that's what the real issue is that just not enough time has passed. I think 2009, when the Genesis block for Bitcoin was published, is not that long ago. We're talking 2018 now, 9 years, right? So imagine what's going to happen in another 9 years. So I think if we give it another 9, 10 years, the mass adoption, like what Kyle was saying, is going to start coming into effect, and that's really when things are going to get kicked off. People are going to be more educated about this. People are going to know how to use this stuff, know exactly what it is, and hopefully people will know more about the current financial system that they're already in. I think that in and of itself is a big issue. People don't know about the money that they're using, the money that's in their wallet, the money that's in their bank account, and the financial products that are available to them now. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time.
No, I agree. So, Kyle, I want to kick back to you. Let's move on to something else that you're working on right now. I know Blueponics is a big deal for you. Is there anything else in the pipeline that you find particularly interesting that you want to share at the moment?
I mean, yeah, I mean, just read our white paper. I could say we're doing this or doing that, but Robbie, you talk about education. Have you read the last 2 pages of our white paper?
I have not.
Go read that.
I'm going to pull up your white paper right now and read it.
Well, give us some insight, Kyle. What are you working on?
Well, I mean, so most right now we're getting ready to go to market. So that's where a lot of my attention is. The products I have online, probably right after we start working on Taplock, and before Taplock comes to production, we'll be far along on Mailman. And Mailman is basically a bot you stick in your mailbox, and it tells you whether or not you got mail, but like for real. So, it's an application where you can just check your phone to see if you've received, the mailman's come and put something in your box. So it's real simple, real silly, but very inexpensive, solar powered. But to do that, we're going to develop a solar power module, and that's going to be open hardware. And that device is going to be probably spawn into its own family and be used to power a number of future generation products. We've got a camera product in the works that's pretty cool, Crypto Cam. And then kind of down the road, we've got an open plug solution, which is more or less an outlet. And so we've got variations of that we're looking at, as far as some to sell direct to homeowners as well as to system integrators or home builders.
I think what you guys are doing at Adosia is it's a really, really good example that there's more out there than I hate to say it, but I find a lot of the cryptocurrencies and a lot of the blockchain-based companies, they're a little bit cookie cutter in a lot of ways. They're not really thinking outside of the box, which I know sounds strange because it's a burgeoning technology, but I really don't see enough practical applications to this stuff, which is something that immediately drew me to what you are doing. And it gives people, I think, an opportunity to look at what is possible with this, what's possible with it right now. And we don't need to necessarily keep looking towards the future. Like, the time is now to jump down on this stuff and really, really double down on the tech and find out what we can do with it.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I just want to build cool products, and I think our ability, to roll hardware, we're fast. We can spin, we can pivot, and we've always been, very nimble and small, and approaching this opportunity, and launching hardware, simultaneously while we offer, a discount token sale, puts us in a position to really have, fuck some shit up, to be honest. Excuse my language. I'm not sure what kind of show.
No, we're not a PG podcast, so it's not a problem.
All right, man, you can beat me. It's cool.
No, actually, Kyle, again, I want to thank you for coming on here with us today. Ravi, good to talk to you as always. Everybody should go check out Adosia, check out their white paper, check out their products. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I want to thank everybody for watching. Kyle, Ravi, thank you for being with me. Everybody have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Thank you.